Hey friends, it's cold, so I'm wearing a hat inside. Crazy, right? Not allowed at school. So, yesterday we did a problem, or earlier we did a problem talking about how Harmony needed 6 1/8 cups to make 3/4 of a cup. So I'm actually going to show you that's true. I have 2 different glasses here. Now, one of them is pretty nifty in that it has a lot of different measuring scales. It has ounces, it has cups, it has grams, milliliters, teaspoons, tablespoons, everything. But today we're looking at cups, and right down here, there's a 1/8 cup line. It's the lowest line right there. So in theory, if I fill this and pour it into this cup 6 times, I will get the water level up to here, the 3/4 cup line. I know that these are different shapes, but the measuring scale stays the same because we're measuring volume. We're measuring up how much space that liquid takes up. So even though this isn't always the best example for fractions, it is a really interesting way to just look at those proportions and those types of measurements. So right up to here, we have our 1/8 cup. So I'm going to fill that once with water, not with milk, because I am on top of a carpet, and if I spill milk, I will be sad having to clean that up. Really will be. So I'm going to be very careful holding it up so I can see that curve at the edge called the meniscus. And see, I've already overfilled it a little bit, so I'm going to pour out just a wee bit. And there we go, 1/8 of a cup. Okay, I've poured in my 1/8 cup, and see, it's still well below the 1/4 mark. I'm going to just, nope, doesn't really work. Okay, I'll just hold them up for you. So 1/8 of a cup, not even at 1/4 yet. 1/4 of a cup. So time to do another 1/8. Once again, holding it up to check my meniscus. And there we go, it's about 1/8. Once again, a little bit more. It's hard to do, to be precise in our measurements. Okay, we've got 1/8 of a cup. Now I'm pouring it in. Ah, and check that out. 2/8 of a cup is equivalent to 1/4 of a cup. And if 2/8 is the same as 1/4, then in theory 3/4 would be the same as 6/8, right? Because it's just 2/8 times 3, which we know makes 2/8 times 3 wholes is 6/8. But let's be sure. Okay. So once again, to the 1/8 mark. Once again, having to pour a little more back. So you guys, you know you should be worried once I actually don't make any silly mistakes. I don't have an eraser to lose today, but I can keep having to re-pour cups of water. Okay, got 3/8 in there. And this is where we're at 3/8. This is a 1/2 cup. And there's our 3/4 cup right there. Now, since this gets wider as it goes up, it's hard to tell. But in theory, we're actually halfway there. Okay, another 1/8. Four 8s. Hey, check it out. 4/8. 4 is half of 8, right? Check that out. 4/8 is 1/2 of a cup. 4/8 of a cup, 1/2 of a cup, because 4/8 equivalent to 1/2. But were we looking for 1/2? No, we were not. Nor were we looking for 4/8. We were looking for 3/4 of a cup. We're only to 1/2 of a cup, or 2/4. So let's keep going. Okay. 5/8. Not quite there yet. And finally, 6/8 of a cup, and that takes us straight. I don't know if you can see that as clearly as I can, but takes us right to 3/4 of a cup. And I can tell, and I know it's really hard to differentiate. The 3/4 line is right over the 2/3 line. But yes, 6 1/8 cups gives us 3/4 of a cup. So if Harmony needed 3/4 of a cup and she only had a 1/3 cup and a 1/8 cup measuring cup, she'd want the 1/8, because look, if she had thirds, she could get to 2/3 and it would be really close, but not quite. And when you're baking, you have to be very precise. Otherwise, your cookies just don't taste as good. So that was my demonstration of cups and measurement and how that relates to our fractions. So I'm going to put this hat to good use and go on a walk and get some sunshine. I hope all of you are finding some time to get a little bit of fresh air every day while still keeping that social distance of about 6 feet between you and people you aren't living with. So be safe, stay well. I can't wait till I get to see you again. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye, y'all.